Grade 8 Religious Education students, welcome. We will be looking on the topic Holy Places and we will focus on Jerusalem. All four major religions has places that they consider to be holy. Places are holy for various reasons. They may be associated with events that took place there, or they may be associated with an individual that they consider to be very holy. At the end of this lesson, students will be able to define key terms such as pilgrimage, holy place, topography, inspiration, saints, Via Dolorosa, Good Friday, Dome of the Rock, and Wailing Wall. They will also pick up on other terms that they will be able to define at the end. Students will also examine the importance of Jerusalem to the Jews, Christians, and Muslims. They will be able to explain the importance of pilgrimage to religious people. They will describe what takes place at the Wailing Wall and hopefully show respect for the need of pilgrimage to religious people. Before we continue with the lesson, I want you to take some time to go through the following definitions. Let's move on. Why do people go on pilgrimage? Visiting holy places has been an important spiritual activity for centuries, and these journeys are called pilgrimage. In the past, such journeys often involved physical hardship and possibly some danger. Many people felt that it was not a real pilgrimage if some sort of sacrifice or hardship was not involved. Alright, so one reason they would go on pilgrimage, for example, they would go to seek healing. Hindus would go to the river Ganges to dip themselves for healing, or Muslims would drink from the Zamzam water for healing, or they go to give thanks for something that God or a saint is believed to have done. Some would go to say special prayer asking God for help with a problem or help from a saint. Some would go for inspiration or a strengthening of their faith. For example, Christians would go to Jerusalem to walk the path that Jesus did, or to be baptized in Jordan River where Jesus was baptized, or to see the empty tomb of Jesus. They would go to repent of their sins and ask for God's forgiveness. They may go to fulfill a requirement of their faith. For example, Muslims are required to go on the Hajj at least once in their life, except for some persons with financial challenges. But one of the requirements for being a Muslim is to actually go on a pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca. And they also go on pilgrimage to visit a place that has strong association with a particular event and people in the history of their faith. For example, Christians again will go to Jerusalem because Jesus was crucified there. Jerusalem, a holy city. Now, Jerusalem is considered holy for all three monotheistic religions. However, its importance is greater for the Jews. If we should go back in history or look at your previous lesson, the patriarchs, we would know that Abraham, the Jewish patriarch, started the religion in Israel, where Jerusalem is located. It is even more important to the Jews because the King David made Jerusalem his capital city, and his son Solomon built the great temple there. It is important for the Christians because Jesus was crucified there and his life played out there. And it's important for the Muslims because the Dome of the Rock is located there. Jews and Jerusalem, the Great Temple. Now, one of the main reasons why Jerusalem is so important to the Jews is because of the Great Temple, this great temple that was built by King Solomon. The temple was the most important place of worship for the Jews. The Jews back then would travel to Jerusalem to worship at this great temple. The first temple was built in Jerusalem by King Solomon almost 3,000 years ago. It was destroyed when the Jewish country was taken over by soldiers from the country of Babylon in 586 BCE. Then it was built again, but it was destroyed by the Roman army in 70 CE. It was built again by King Herod the Great. And after it was destroyed, the Jews were dispersed into other countries. And they still had the need to worship. So what they would do is to build synagogues with a similar look as the temple, so they could still worship as they did in Jerusalem in the past. The temple was a beautiful building decorated with gold and marble. Jews believe it was the holiest place in the world, and it was the most important place for worshiping God. Only one wall was left when it was destroyed. It was called the Western Wall, or some persons would call it the Wailing Wall. The Western Wall, or the Wailing Wall. The temple has never been rebuilt. All that remains today is a part of the Temple Mount on which the temple stood. It is called the Western Wall. Jews mourn the loss of the temple during the festival of Tisha B'Av. It is sometimes referred to as the Wailing Wall because of its association with sorrow. Some Jews weep as they pray there because of the suffering experienced by Jewish people throughout history. Jews repeat passages from the Torah in front of the wall and push their written prayers in the cracks. These prayers ask God to bless the Jewish nation and look forward to the coming of God's deliverer, the Messiah. And by the way, they also call it the Wailing Wall because sometimes when they pray or when they cry there, it will give off a wailing sound. So hence give the name the Wailing Wall. Jerusalem is a special city for Christians because of the events in the life and death of Jesus that took place there. On Good Friday, pilgrims follow in the footsteps of Jesus by walking along the Via Dolorosa, visiting the places where Jesus stopped on the way to his crucifixion. The Via Dolorosa is known as the Way of Sorrow. Christians would also go to Jerusalem to get baptized in Jordan River. They would go to visit Jesus' empty tomb and worship there, and they would also go to visit Golgotha, the place where they believed that Jesus was crucified. Muslims and Jerusalem. After Mecca and Medina, Jerusalem is the most holy city in Islam. The Dome of the Rock is a holy place for Muslims because it commemorates the night journey that the Prophet Muhammad made on a winged creature through the seventh heaven to meet Allah. From Allah's presence, Muhammad returned to earth and preached the message that he had received. Now, Muslims believe that when he had returned to earth, he went to Jerusalem, and the place where he preached the message is where the Temple Mount is now built, and so they built it there to remember this night. And this is why Jerusalem is also important to the Muslims.